BlaXit family, BlaXit family, BlaXit family. How are you? How are things? I know that right now I'm hearing so many things from all over the world that is going on. We're living in unprecedented times. And I get calls from England telling me, Juliet, we can't group together. If there's more than 6 of us, we can't come together. People aren't socializing the way they used to. A lot of things are happening. Police are having different authority with regard to this whole colonial pandemic. Now, we know this is going on, and we've also had a lot of questions about things here in the Gambia. So we know the holiday season is opening up here in the Gambia. And we know that a lot of repatriates have had a lot of questions about law and order, about, what is the difference between some of the legal and penal rules that are different from the UK, from the USA, and here on the smiling coast of West Africa, the Gambia. So what have we done? We've reached out to the police force to get those questions answered for you. So we are not, well, I certainly am not knowledgeable enough about the laws or penal codes here, but I'm going to introduce you to someone who is, and he's going to tell you a little bit about himself and who he is. So I'd like, I was going to say your name then, but I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself. Okay. This is Lamin Ajay, and he's the PRO of the Gambian Police Force. So please introduce yourself to BlaXit family and tell them a little bit about yourself and your background and history with regards to the police, and how are you going to such an illustrious position as PRO. PRO means that you're the public officer for the police, is that correct?
The public relations officer.
The public relations officer. Whoa. Okay, so Lamin, introduce yourself please, and tell us a little bit about how did you become the public relations officer of the police?
Thank you very much. I am Superintendent of Police Lamin Jai, and also the Public Relations Officer of the Gambia Police Force. And basically, as I came to become the Public Relations of the Gambia Police Force, this is because I was a police officer way back in 2010. 2010, I joined the Gambia Police Force. And so went through trainings, recruitment trainings, and after that, I got posted to the CID, that's the Criminal Investigation Department of the Police. I also serve at the charge office, that is the normal police station, and many other units of the police. And later on, I became a support to the former public relations officer, and then later on, I became the public relations officer of the Gambia Police Force. Briefly, I left the Gambia to study outside the Gambia, and then I came back, and then I continued again becoming the public relations officer of the Gambia Police Force. Now, basically, to introduce the Gambia Police Force itself, you will understand a little bit of history of the Gambia Police Force. The Gambia Police Force, as far as its history is concerned, it can be traced way back in 1855 when the colonialists, the British established the river police. That's why if you look at our police badge, you will see some sort of a boat on it. The police started as what they call the river police in those days. And then later on, up to the independence, then it became the Gambia Police Force, like it is today. And so previously, it used to be a police force that was controlled and commanded by the British. And so now when the independence came in, the police force became the Gambia Police Force, and it is commanded by the Gambian people.
Oh, fantastic, thank you. Now I'd like to introduce you to our next guest who's joining us on the show, and this interview is of particular interest to him because he actually owns and runs a resort here in the Gambia. So we're actually recording this interview in one of these gorgeous rooms, and actually it's an apartment, not a room, in one of the gorgeous apartments here at Hyperlink Village Resort, which is in Kololi, Palmarima. So Matthew, thank you for joining us today. Can you give everybody just a short introduction about yourself and how you came to build this resort and I know you were based in the UK.
Yeah, I was based in the UK, as you said. I originally came from Grenada and have been living in the UK most of my life. I went there when I was young and grew up there, educated there. But I've always had the desire to leave the UK and settle somewhere else. When I came to Gambia, instantly I kind of fell in love with Gambia, as most people do, and decided to build a resort. I bought the resort, and the land was here, and I bought it, and we've been building ever since, and we're still building. We're still, getting it together. But Hyperlink Resort is based on a resort that is eco-friendly, and it's almost like a boutique a style of resort. And guests have been coming here for the last few years, and they've been enjoying it. We have a good reputation, and we've had good feedback online in terms of our service delivery and so on. And we're, although this COVID is happening, we're reopening in a few days' time. And, like everybody else, we're hoping for the best for everyone, not just in terms of us running the business, but also in terms of people having enjoyable stays here. We have a number of different ways that we're going to be interacting with our guests this season. So, but that's us. That's Hyperlink Resort. I've abbreviated it as much as I can because I know that this is particularly in relation to safety and the police. And I'm here really this morning not to talk about Hyperlink Resort as such, but just to give the viewpoint from a hotelier and people who coming over here and what they're expecting from the police.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you. So over to the police now. So Lamin, PRO Lamin Najai. I'd like to talk about the crime levels and types of crimes that happen here in the Gambia compared to other Western nations. The reason why I'm asking this question is because for us coming to Gambia, Gambia is much more peaceful than where we were from, and there seems to be a lot less crime, especially serious crime here in the Gambia. So I just wondered if you could kind of give us a comparison and a reason as to why Gambia is such a peaceful nation. I'm not saying that crime doesn't exist here, but I am saying that it's probably different types of crime and different percentages. So could you give us a rough comparison, if you can, to other Western nations, and give an explanation as to why Gambia is so peaceful?
Very well. Thank you very much for that question, and that's very important. We must be able to bring this into context to understand that the Gambia, compared to even within the sub-region, when it comes to crime, you will realize that the Gambia has a very low level of crime compared to even countries within the sub-region. And if you look at it from the African perspective, you will realize that the Gambia, when we interact with some of our counterparts within the African sub-region, the kind of crimes that they encounter within their countries, those are non-existent in the Gambia. For example, the high-level organized crimes and terrorism and all that, we have not got any of those situations in the Gambia. And internationally, if every day we are listening to news and seeing what is happening globally, and many of those situations are non-existent in the Gambia. So therefore, it does not necessarily mean there is no crime in the Gambia,
yeah.
But compared to other places, the Gambia is relatively very, very low when it comes to crime. Obviously, crime is a phenomenon that exists all over the world, and so the Gambia is not an exception. So the kind of crime that we have in the Gambia, you will see, have mainly to do with property crime. For example, theft, for example, breaking and stealing, for example, crimes like burglary here and there, pickpocketing on busy places and so on. These are most of the main issues that we get confronted as a police force on a daily basis. So other than that, in terms of comparison, the Gambia is relatively very, very peaceful and very calm, and the rate of those crimes are really being tackled as far as the police force is concerned.
Oh, that's amazing. One of the things I wanted to ask Matthew is about security, because he just mentioned about break-ins, you know, and obviously you're going to have people coming to the Gambia, and so you do give advice to people that are staying at Hyperlink. Or people repatriating even, yeah, because you're also the executive head of CODE, which is the Council of African Descendants. So what advice would you give to people repatriating that are going to be moving into their homes, or people coming here on holiday as a hotelier? What advice would you give?
Just to echo a little bit of what's just been said, you know, since I've been here, in the 15 years I've been here, I have not seen any serious violence or crimes happening here. I can say that with my hands up. I've not seen that. So where there is crime, it's petty, basically. It's usually, as been said, it's usually robbery or burglary or something like that. Here at the resort, we found that, you know, we've only had one instance of somebody actually supposedly come in and steal anything from a guest. Other than that, we've never had that here. I would say, though, that, you know, if you're coming across and repatriating, one of the best things that you can actually do is buy a dog. It might sound silly, but, you know, I think people here just generally have a fear of dogs. So if you have a compound and you buy a dog, that's, I think, 90% of your problems gone. You know, people just don't want to confront that. Obviously, you can have the normal systems that people have in the West, where you can have your burglar alarms, and a lot of people have this kind of a wiring around their walls and so on, which sometimes looks a little bit unseemly, but having said that, it protects them. They also have security cameras. But this is such a small community that if you did have security cameras and the people can be caught on camera, usually somebody knows who that person is. So the police has a good chance of detecting them. So I think crime here doesn't just happen and then it becomes a statistics. I think if you have some system whereby people can be captured during the crime, then the police, I think, have a good chance of finding who the perpetrators are, because in most cases, most people here, they do not get involved in crime. So I think the police might have a good idea of who the people are in the neighborhoods that do get involved in crime. And, you know, but generally, I would give it 90% in terms of being able to move around as a tourist, being able to move around safely during the evenings and during the day. Obviously, you know, you have to know what you're doing. I've seen dogs on the beach taking people's handbags and running away with it. So, you know, you just hang on to your handbag, you don't let, but having said all of that, it doesn't happen. It doesn't, I've not seen it. I've just not seen it.
No, I've been on the beach many a time. I haven't had any dog run off in my handbag.
I've seen it, it was so funny.
I've had a monkey though, when I went to Makasutu.
Yeah.
I had a monkey go into my handbag and take out exactly what he wanted. He took out insect repellent. I couldn't understand, why would a monkey want insect repellent? It's just crazy.
He's got an itch.
So yeah, so basically the animals are really intelligent here too.
Yeah, they are.
So, you know, as well as the people, of course, because I've met some seriously intelligent people here, notwithstanding the person that's sitting next to me, of course, because you have to be to have your position. So we're going to talk about something that's been talked about a lot in the Western media, and I actually think that it's kind of a lot of propaganda and sensationalism and also exaggeration, because what they call sex tourism here is the same thing that I've seen in Magaluf. It's the same thing that I've seen on holiday in the Caribbean. It's the same thing I've seen on Brighton Beach, to be honest with you, and Clacton-on-Sea. But here it seems to be magnified for some unknown reason, and it happens in most tourist locations and destinations, and in most locations worldwide. I've travelled to 28 countries. I don't think I've ever been to one that I've not seen, you know, the odd Casanova and, you know, the odd lady looking for a sugar daddy, so to speak. And it happens. But here, they've blown it up, and a lot of people are talking about sex tourism. I'm not going to pretend for any minute that I have not seen older men with, you know, consenting adults, young consenting adults in some cases, you know, walking along the beach and whatever, and it has left me with an uncomfortable feeling, simply because of where I am. But if I'd have seen that in a supermarket in London, I probably wouldn't have blinked an eyelid. And I think that's what's happened here. And I think also, we'll go into some other issues, but let's just tackle this one first, because I was watching a breakfast TV show in England, and they nicknamed, you know, Gambia Grambia, because of all of these older women coming here. And I think the blame should actually be on the women coming here. And so I'm going to flip the script, yeah? Because if I go to somewhere that I know that there might be a differential in terms of the currency, and so the pound might be more powerful than the currency here, and also, you know, disparages between GDP and life differences, you know, then those people coming here are actually the ones that are taking advantage of the situation rather than the other way round. So I think that was a bit unfair, but that plays to the institutional racism that exists around anything African. There always has to be a negative spin on it, and I'm not playing to that negative spin, so I'm playing to the positive side of it. So I know that tourism represents a very large percentage of the GDP, almost 1/3 of Gambia's GDP. In fact, it's not the largest sector here, and a lot of people think that, but unfortunately they're being misled. So I want to talk about, is it a growing problem, this so-called tourism, this type of tourism? And I'm not going to call it sex tourism, because sometimes it's not even related to sex. It is about some old women wanting company, and it's not always related to sex. But as per usual, people always relate things to the lowest common denominator. So I'd like to ask you, is it a growing problem? And how is it seen? It's like, what is the legal status and punishment and consequences, if anything, for sex tourism? Is it seen as prostitution? How is it seen, and what are the legal consequences for it?
Very well. The Gambia as a country, like you have already mentioned, tourism is a very important sector of our economy, and so this is why the people of the Gambia and the government of the Gambia have not taken tourism and its related issues anything lightly. What the government and the people of the Gambia are very conscious of what is happening within the tourism sector of the Gambia, and so the issues about sex tourism, pedophilia, and so on, these are phenomena that exist all over the world, and the Gambia is not an exception. We as a police force, we also have issues that here and there we have certain situations that relate to tourism related offenses, especially when it comes to sex and sexuality. And so this is why the Gambia as a country had promulgated very important laws to deal with these situations that are going to come up in terms of our dealings with the tourists. In fact, first I want to say, people, especially tourists, are very free in the Gambia. They can move around, they can go about their businesses, and so, and they don't even get harassed. In fact, it is a criminal offense for a tourist to get harassed, intimidated, or insulted in the Gambia. That is to show how the extent of the importance of tourism to the Gambian people. But that does not necessarily mean somebody can just come to the Gambia and do anything in the Gambia in the name of tourism. And so this is why the laws are also very strict when it comes to what people call sex tourism, especially pedophilia. When people come in the name of tourism, they want to extend sexual advances and abuse children here, or even other people who are not consenting adults as well. The laws are very clear. We have what we call the Tourism Offences Act, and we have the Sexual Offences Act of the Gambia as well. And we also have the Criminal Code of the Gambia. And now if you look at our laws, especially relating to tourism, you will realize that if children get abused, or other adults that are not consenting, especially if it has to do with abuse and violence and so on, the penalties range from 2 years imprisonment to 5 years imprisonment and up to 14 years imprisonment. You get 14 years imprisonment when an adult male or female have directed sexual abuse or exploitation on a child, and that person, if he gets arrested and prosecuted, he can get up to 14 years imprisonment because of that offense. So that tells you how serious the Gambia is when it comes to dealing with issues like this. But not only that, a lot of advocacy is also done within the tourism sector to ensure that hoteliers, resort owners, and so on are able to educate their guests to make them understand that they cannot just come and do anything in the name of tourism. So that's why you have some ads and some billboards that are within this area that we are, that tells the tourists how to behave, how to comport him or herself during the course of the stay in the Gambia as well. And then also we do a lot of advocacy outside of the tourist area industry as well, so that our people, when they relate with these tourists, you mentioned the issue of changing the pounds to dollars, and so you have a lot of money. So there is some issue about poverty and some economic issues that comes to play in terms of the relationship between the community, members of the community, and the tourists. And so a lot of advocacy is also done to make people aware of to what extent they can relate with the tourists, so that that economic development that everybody yearns for will be achieved instead of the exploitative tendencies that comes along with it.
That's really interesting, and I really appreciate your frankness and honesty on the issue, and also, you know, enabling people to know that it's a crime. So, you know, I hope that is a prevention to anyone thinking that they can come here and take advantage of young Gambians or exploit Gambians or even try to abuse Gambian children. Let that be a stark lesson to you, what's been said, and to let you know that Code is working with the police to prevent and to be vigilant about ensuring that we report any incidents to the police as soon as we see them happening. Write down that number plate, you know, tell that person, ask the person that's with them questions and so on. Obviously, don't take the law into your own hands, but now you know what the law is, you know that you can report it, and there are officers, usually, even in plain clothes, positioned in every tourist location. And I think that's important for people to know.
Yes, that is very important for people to know. If you look at this area, which we call the TSU, the TDA, that's the Tourism Development Area, we also have a police department within this area called the TSU, that is the Tourism Security Unit. At the Tourism Security Unit, you have police officers who are uniform officers, and you have police officers who are non-uniform officers, all to be able to deal with the emerging issues of crime and related offenses that happen within the tourism development area. We also have child welfare, child protection officers as well. They are also plainclothes officers that are embedded within the tourism security unit, and they are patrolling all this area. Now, if you look at most of this area, if you want to enter, you have to come across a particular checkpoint where you have security checkpoint where they will screen you, ask few questions before you are allowed to go in here or come out of this place. And especially when it has to do with children, they are allowed limited access, especially if they are alone. They are not even allowed to enter this within this area, simply because all that those are all measures to ensure that children are protected from all those related vices. And so even adults, if they're going to go into this place with children, they have to show some documentation that will prove that they are being allowed to be able to move with that particular child within this area. So the security here is very tight, and so whoever thinks you can come and do anything here in the name of tourism, we are telling you that there is a red line to that. But suffice to say, generally, this is all geared towards getting the industry moving, getting all of us to be able to reap the benefit out of the tourism as an industry and a sector.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Because, you know, it has been mentioned about children on the beach and so on and so forth. But Matthew, I want to ask you, obviously you've got a hotel. What do you do to prevent this from happening? Because obviously you'll have guests coming. What would you do if you saw a guest coming with an underage girl?
We have had occasion to remove guests from here simply because of their behavior. I guess some people may feel that they can come to a place where there are disadvantaged people and take advantage of them. Now, the staff is very aware of who is staying here. We've only had one occasion where we've had to ask somebody to leave simply because he repeatedly brings in young ladies, which we felt wasn't appropriate. We didn't go as far as reporting him. The side entrance going down to the beach, there's a checkpoint just opposite our shops. And just to echo what's being said, at that checkpoint is a child welfare lady in plain clothes. We're very aware of her, and she does check on who is going down to the beach and what their situation is. She knows us, we know her, and we feel that we can talk to her at any point about anything that we feel is untoward. There's two sides to it, as you said, Juliet. There are people who come here looking for relationships, and sometimes it's very genuine relationships. We've had weddings here where people have come here and they've united because they've wanted to. They may have had an attraction to each other, and they're married, and some of them quite happily married now. Those are some of the things that you might have seen reported on the news, where they're talking about old people and young people. Whatever the case, they're consenting adults, and they've got together and they've decided to get married, and they support each other for whatever reason. Who's to judge? Who's to judge in cases like that? But in cases where young people are concerned, I think that it's something that, as far as the staff is concerned, they're very aware of, and we are very aware of, and we make sure that we're not that type of establishment that will tolerate anything like that.
That's excellent, and I mean that's really reassuring to know. So anyone coming here with any ideas, don't bother, don't come. But there are lots of people who come and find love in the Gambia legitimately, and marry Gambians and have great relationships. And there are even vloggers that I know of. One that I think is amazing, and she also found love here and is married to Gambian and is having a wonderful life and has achieved so much. She's given out, I will ask her permission if I can use her name, but she's given out supplies here. She's done so much to help the community. She even helped young Usman Toure by contributing to his airfare. She paid his ticket when we had an issue with his ticket. So, I want to, give her a lot of props, and she knows who she is, but I'll ask her permission if I can put her name on the screen. But I just want to send love to you and thank you for, being a wonderful person and a great contributor to the Gambia. So, homosexuality, legal or illegal here in the Gambia?
Homosexuality is illegal in the Gambia as we speak, and so this is why, as far as our laws are concerned, it is not allowed. And so the Gambia Police Force and all its institutions to working towards ensuring that the law is enforced until at any point in time when we have change of law. But as of now, our laws are very clear on homosexuality. It is illegal and it is not permissible. Okay.
So what advice would you give to repatriates? This is the last question because I don't want to take up too much of your time. What advice would you give to repatriates to live safely in the Gambia?
Well, first of all, I want to encourage them to come to the Gambia. In fact, this is something that we definitely would want to see, because we also are proud of seeing our own kind of people living among us. And so that is a very important thing for us. And so when we see them coming in, that makes us happy and proud as a people. Suffice to say, and I also want to tell them, the advice is this: I think everywhere you live in the world, one thing you need to be very conscious about is the adherence to the laws of that particular place. And so if you find yourself in the Gambia, please respect the laws of the Gambia, and so you will be able to live in peaceful coexistence within the Gambia. Secondly, if I'm going to add to that advice, I want to tell them to respect the culture of the Gambian people. The Gambian people have various culture and value systems within the Gambia as a country. You know, I mean, as you may know, we have up to about close to 10 ethnic groups living together in the Gambia. So when you find yourself in the Gambia, you also have to somehow, some way, find a way to respect the social culture, norms and values of the people of the Gambia. And thirdly, when you find yourself in the Gambia, get to tolerate the people of the Gambia, because where you come from and the Gambia are quite different places, and so what you are used to over there may be a little bit different from what is happening here. But if you find it in a space in your heart and mind to be able to tolerate what is happening in the Gambia, that will allow you to live in peaceful and harmonious coexistence with everybody in the Gambia. We are this country that is called the Smiling Coast, and so it's not difficult to live with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with that, actually. I mean, Matthew, you've lived here for longer than us. We've been coming, we started coming in 2011 and finally repatriated permanently and BlaXited last year, and it's been like a year and 7 months. And I can't believe even that it's been a year and 7 months. It's just like whoosh.
I can't believe it's 15 years, you know. As been said here, you have to understand that you're in a different country, and you can't come here with all the thoughts of like you're living in England or you're living in America or anything. You're living in Gambia, and Gambia has its own customs, it has its own traditions, it has its own way of saying hello. You know, somebody might be walking past you and staring at you, and you're wondering, well, why is that person staring at me? But as soon as you say hello to them, their face lights up, they start to smile, and they say hello to you. They were just waiting for you to say something. You know, it's simple as that. And, you know, so you have to let some of the things that you're used to, let it go. Just let it go. You know, and an old man said to me one time, he said, "Danka, danka." You know, and he said to me, just take your time. He says, people who come here and they hurry, they at the end they have to go. You know, but if you take your time, anything you want and everything you want will come to you. So and Gambia, that philosophy has seen me through. You know, I tolerate. You know, I understand, and at the same time, I don't rush like I was rushing before. I take my time and live and let live. It's as simple as that. Live and let live. And your 15 years will be boom. It'll be like nothing. Wow. You'll be fine.
So, like I said, the only thing that I have as a concern, I'll be honest with you, is citizenship. That's my only concern. So far as security is concerned, I always say promote Gambia and create employment. Have a doorman even, because like when you have to walk all the way from your compound, inside your compound, all the way to the gate, and you've got a long walk. You know, because obviously a lot of us, our houses are much bigger here. The space between your house and the front door and the front gate is vast. So why not create employment if you're worried about that? Right. And, have someone who's trustworthy, who you can work with, and work by referral. And I say the best thing to do is to, go to the police station and, speak to the locals in all the police stations. Police stations are very friendly and very welcoming places from my experience, and to the degree that we even donate computers as we have done through Crystal and so on, and her sister. So and desks and chairs and whatever is needed. So let's come and support and be, let's be a vehicle of change, positive change, I think. In terms of ensuring that whatever we bring to the Gambia will only enhance the lives of Gambians. So we don't have to come here and be criminals, basically. We can come here and support the infrastructure of the country and enjoy the cultures. There are so many beautiful cultures, and I actually drink them up like water, because it's something that we're barren of coming from the West. So when you see the Jola dance, the Mandinka, the Fuller, events, and Sawahiro and Manjaro and Wolof and you know, you go to all the festivals and all of the different beautiful groups. It is just phenomenal. It is something to behold, and it makes you realize what's been ripped from you by slavery. You don't have your language, it's been ripped from you, you know, by slavery. Everything's like it's been, you know, taken from us. But when we come here, we're getting, you know, a few words here and there. You know, we're getting love back from our Gambian family, because it is a smiling coast and people are welcoming and they are lovely, and people shouldn't come here and take advantage of them. That's another thing that I really wanted to say. But I want to thank you for your time here today. I just want to see if Adrian's got any questions, because he's been doing the filming. So I'm going to introduce Adrian and ask if you've got anything to say to BlaXit Family. You can take the mask off because it's me. Okay. You're within 2 meters.
Yeah, BlaXit Family, you know, we're honored to have the PR of police here with us today, so we could give you the correct information on how policing is done in the Gambia. Gambia is a peaceful place. You know, it's the first place I go to and find police so friendly. You know, the second in command, we talk to him, the fourth in command, all of them. You know, and they always give us good advice. And as been mentioned here several times, you come to a country, you learn the laws, and you stay within the remit of the laws. You don't come here and try and take the laws into your hand. And Gambian people, they're friendly people. They're lovely people. They will help you. You know, they're nice people. They remind me of when I was growing up in the Caribbean, in the island of Mansa. It's just the same thing. You could sit down, you could have green tea with the police, you could have a talk, you could talk about the history of Gambia with the police. It's a more friendly environment. It's not as hostile as Europe. You know, it's not as hostile as America. No police going to take out a gun and shoot you. No police going to kneel on your neck and kill you. You know, put that out the question. You're coming home to your brothers and sisters. And obviously every country must have law and enforcement to make sure that things go the way it is. And to tourists that come in, please, when you come here, enjoy the country, enjoy the people, but don't take advantage of them. Don't take advantage of their good nature either. Because the Gambians, they're beautiful people, but I don't think they would like you taking advantage of them. You know, they're helpful, you know, they work hard. I have a young man working for me, and he works so hard. He's a strong young man. I take him under my wings. You know, I make sure I'm going to train him up so he become a very good mason here in the Gambia. So yeah, when we come to the Gambia, you're free. As a tourist, you can walk any time of the night by yourself. They're not going to trouble you, you know. So yeah, people come here, enjoy the Gambia, and please leave some of those bad attitude in the West. Gambia don't need them. And when you're in Africa, you do as the Africans do. Have respect for your elders, have respect for your surroundings, and have respect for the enforcement officers. All right, so the season soon open, and I will welcome all of you home. But make sure any problems you have, the police is not too far. They're in every area. Have a word with the police. They're not like the police in Europe. They're not like the police in America. They will see you as a brother and sister. So anywhere you're struggling, just have a word with the police. And where your security is concerned, you could take your own steps of security. Because no country is free from petty crime. In England, you go out to work, you come back, your home can be broken into. And they class England and America as a first world country, and there are crimes there. If they can't stamp out crimes, nowhere else will stamp it out. So all I'm saying, when you come here, as Matthew was saying, you could purchase yourself a dog if you repatriate to live here, or you could hire a doorman. You even have different security companies here that you could actually hire from, and they would secure your place. All right, so come enjoy the Gambia. Be happy. It's a smiling coast, and when you get here, you will see why I call the smiling coast, because I know you'll enjoy your stay. You'll be safe.
So smash that like button.
Yeah, smash that like button. Comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. All right, thank you all for being here with us today.
And thank you so much for your donations. Thank you for your subscriptions. I'm just taking it off. And thank you so much for supporting BlaXit with your PayPal donations via botcollective@yahoo.com and also via Patreon at BLA_XIT. And remember, if you want to get in contact with us, please email us at blaxithome@gmail.com. That's blaxithome@gmail.com. And we are currently setting up our BB to me space so that we can communicate there. So we're working on our abibitumi.com profile so that we can have our own chat room there. So watch this space and we'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. Please, let's try and get our subscriptions up so we can try and hit that 50K. If we can hit that 50K, I will be so happy. So please share and like, and definitely keep watching. Thank you, BlaXit family. We love you. One nation, one Africa. Thank you, BlaXit family. Please keep watching, please subscribing, and remember, follow your dreams.
Purchase your tracks today. 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 Purchase your tracks today.
Emperor.